Yeah. All right. Let's do one more question. That's from Instagram, and that's from a guy called Packie, or a girl called Packie. I don't know what Packie is. All right. So he said, do I need to take the insurance with my campervan rental, or can I just use the insurance for my credit card? All right. So, do you want to get started on this one, or?
Yeah. So first of all, getting insurance to drive in New Zealand isn't actually mandatory in New Zealand, but if you are renting a campervan or a car, then it's actually mandatory for the insurance to have, car rental company to have some insurance on their car rentals. Like they have to offer you some.
So
anyway.
Just to recap, if you buy your own car, like any Kiwis here, you do not have to have a car insurance, right? Yeah. It's not mandatory. It's recommended, people have it, but you do not have to. However, if you are a car rental company, you own a car rental company, you have to insure every single one of the vehicle. So that's the base that you need to know. So every single rental vehicle in New Zealand are already pre-insured.
Yeah. So what you can do is you can pay a little bit extra to reduce the amount of excess which is on your insurance when you rent a car or a camper van. For instance, the usual prices would be between 10 to about 50 New Zealand dollars per day, depending on what the vehicle is, to reduce the excess of your insurance. So the standard insurance included on campervan rental or car rental is usually an excess of like 1,000 New Zealand dollars up to 3,500 New Zealand dollars, meaning that if you do damage the car, you will have to pay up to $3,500 before the insurance kicks in to pay in the rest. So you basically need to weigh up. Do you think it's actually worth paying what's usually about $500 extra on top of your car rental or campervan rental in order to reduce the excess on something that may or may not happen? And that's kind of like, that's always the debate with insurance, right?
So okay, here's the way I see it, right? First, you will probably pay for your rental with your credit card. That's why you're asking this question about using your credit card insurance on that. So now, usually the car rental companies are going to give you an insurance to reduce the excess, but there is already one, right? So let's say you completely crash the car. It's the worst case scenario. You probably have to pay $3,500 if you don't have any other extra insurance. $3,500 is not that much on for that. But that doesn't include, for example, breaking the windshield, because usually like broken glass is not included in insurance. So you have to pay for all that if you actually just break the windshield.
Which is actually likely to happen in New Zealand because there's a lot of gravel roads.
Exactly, so it's more likely to happen. That's why they don't cover it. Now, on the other hand, when you use your credit card insurance, they usually cover much more and the excess is much lower because they don't have that many claims usually. So it's worth looking at your specific credit card to see if it's worth it or not. Now, from my personal point of view, when I do rent a car, and I do rent a car really often, and I rent a car in so many different countries, I personally don't believe in paying for the insurance because, it's going to be rare. Like, you rent a car for like, let's say 10 days and the extra cover is like $400, right? $40 a day. Let's make it $400 for the 10 days that you rent the car. It's a ton of money that I can spend on activities. And honestly, let's say I'm renting 10 cars in my life. That's $4,000, which is the maximum excess. I don't crash 1 out of 10 cars I drive. I mean, no, I don't crash that much. And that's what's really crazy. And no matter what, there's always a bit of an excess. So if you do a little bump or a little this or a little bit of that, you will have like $200 or $250 or $300 to pay. It's still lower than what the excess will be. So I personally don't necessarily believe that it is wise to get those. That is wise to pay for the insurance. I feel like I would save the money and I wouldn't pay for it. That's basically my personal opinion. I will use the one for my credit card because literally you will have two insurances then. You will have the one from the car insurance and you will have the one from your credit card. Hey man, that's a lot. Now, with that in mind, you have to keep in mind, did you mention about being a young driver or no?
Oh, no, not yet.
Okay, but with that in mind, though, I have to put a little caveat on it and I have to talk about an exception, is that if you're a young driver, companies usually consider people between, under 25 or under 21 to be young drivers. And at that point, some of them will actually force you to get the extra insurance. They will say, if you are a young driver, you can rent a car from us only if you purchase the insurance. Otherwise, we do not rent to a young driver. So some companies will have this little difference right here. And so in that case, where you don't have a choice, and even if you have the one from your credit card, you have to pay them for the insurance. That's just their way to put a premium on young drivers, a bit like what insurance are doing. So yeah, that's basically our interpretation of it. That's how we will play it. That's our opinion on it. It's obviously just a personal opinion. It's a very, most people actually buy insurance for peace of mind. So if you feel like $400 is worth your peace of mind, go ahead, go for it.
I think another thing to add though is that before coming to New Zealand, just really make sure you do understand the road rules here in New Zealand. First of all, you know that New Zealand driving is on the left side of the road, but even if you are from a country which is on the where you do drive on the left-hand side of the road, then there are actually some road rules that are a little bit different in New Zealand. So even if like for myself, I'm from the UK where we do drive on the left side of the road, but when I arrived in New Zealand, I did notice there was quite a few differences. So it is really worth actually looking up like what are the road rules and really be prepared for them. And that way
where can they look up all those road rules, Laura? Tell us more.
Well, yeah, so obviously on BackpackerGuide.NZ, we do have all that information of how to drive in New Zealand and some safety tips as well. And as we mentioned throughout this video, that we will be putting the descriptions we'll be putting the links in the description below after in the rebroadcast of everything that we're talking about today. And
Y2J actually takes the time to mentioning about parking. Yes, there are a few kind of quirky rules in New Zealand about parking, which is quite funny. You when you park on the side of the road, you have to park in the same direction than the traffic. I learned that the hard way. Literally, my first day ever driving in New Zealand, I got a fine because of that. Actually, I got like a guy actually kind of was about to fine me, and then they're cute.
And then he put his French accent on. Like, I'm so sorry.
But yeah, so if the road's going that way, when you park, your car has to face that way, or you're gonna get a fine. It's a pretty funny rules. But yeah, there are a few parking rules. There is a few freedom camping rules, but we're probably going to cover that in other questions.